WBTV News 3 Prime Time.
Wachovia sold to Citigroup, the latest casualty of the economic crisis.
One Charlotte-based bank is crumbling, the other holding its own in these tough economic times. A tale of two banks.
Where's the gas? WBTV on your side asking why pumps are still dry after the weekend's large shipment. A rough ride for some local elementary students, what landed their bus down this embankment.
On your side, the 7 o'clock solution. WBTV News 3 Prime Time.
Good evening, I'm Maureen O'Boyle. Thanks for being here on this Monday. The banking landscape of Charlotte takes a drastic turn today. Whether or not you bank with Wachovia, many of you who live and work in this area want to know tonight, what does this buyout mean for you and your future? We're going to try to answer that question for you. Today, Wachovia announced it is selling some of its banking operations to Citigroup Financial, which includes the retail portion, the everyday transactions. What this means for customers, according to Wachovia, your money is safe, your deposits are safe, your debit cards still work. It is business as usual for customers. The Wachovia retail name will change, branch names will change, but all of this will happen over time. It is expected to be a relatively slow process. Plain and simple, though, the move is shocking Charlotte because for the first time in the city's history, between its two big banks, Wachovia and Bank of America, one is being gobbled up. Always before, a Charlotte bank has been the eater, the one acquiring another. Tonight, the tables have turned. Primetime's Jeff Atkinson has been looking into this, and incredibly, Jeff, we really set the stage for this kind of behavior in banking. Charlotte did.
Maureen, you know you can learn a lot from looking at history. What did Wachovia in? The foreclosures, falling home prices, an ill-timed purchase of Golden West Financial. But the buyout we see here today might never have happened had Charlotte's banks not gone on a national buying spree. Its roots trace to these two titans of banking, Hugh McCall and Ed Crutchfield. Each had a vision to build a bigger bank and put Charlotte on the map. Historian Tom Hanchett with the Levine Museum of the New South.
It was North Carolina banks that invented interstate banking.
In McCall's case, a flag was planted in Florida in 1982, the first U.S. bank to cross state lines. McCall's NCNB acquired First National of Lake City, Florida, and went on to gobble up banks from Georgia, Texas, to Missouri. Crutchfield's First Union did the same, buying up banks in an interstate expansion.
If one guy came up with a deal, the other guy had to come up with a deal.
While most states had strict laws keeping banks from expanding in their home state, North Carolina didn't. Rules here were looser. As Charlotte emerged as a textile center, banks here got bigger. They lobbied Congress for new rules to enable the expansion throughout the U.S. Former Charlotte Chamber of Commerce President Carol Gray.
It was acquisition time, acquisition time, acquisition time, almost an acquisition of the week by both banks.
Charlotte benefited greatly from the gobbling up.
Together, we're the new Bank of America.
In 1998, Hugh McCall's Nations Bank bought Bank America, taking its name and creating the first coast-to-coast bank. And in 2002, First Union merged with Wachovia, taking its name and its impeccable reputation.
There definitely was what I would call deposit envy. The two banks were constantly trying to get ahead of one another for reasons of business and reasons of local pride.
But in the last decade, some of the deals have soured. B of A's $4 billion purchase of Countrywide saddled the bank with losses, bringing its stock down. But nothing like what happened to Wachovia with its purchase of Golden West Financial. The company's pick-a-pay mortgage holders had higher default rates than Wachovia's traditional borrowers. When they started going under, the $24 billion deal ultimately sank Wachovia.
It was a high price to pay for what was a ticking time bomb on their balance sheet. It blew up today.
We asked one of the people we called upon today if this was the worst day ever for Charlotte. This is a magnitude of several times worse, he said, than anything we've ever seen economically speaking in this town. In the global economy, it's eat or be eaten. Unfortunately for Wachovia today, it was the latter, and painfully so. Maureen?
Well, Jeff, a lot of people are concerned tonight. We appreciate that. Wachovia employs about 20,000 people in the Queen City, but it's not just the people in the skyscrapers impacted by this buyout. 10,000 people work here at Wachovia's CIC campus off Harris Boulevard. CIC is as big as the Empire State Building in New York City. It's 2/3 the size of the Pentagon. Right now, experts believe there will be thousands of job cuts across the board. It's unclear right now, though, how many cuts will come here in Charlotte. And a dramatic day on Wall Street today. The Dow fell 778 points, making it the Dow's worst day ever. Stocks started spiraling when the $700 billion bailout plan died in the House this afternoon. Supporters and congressional leaders scrambled to renegotiate, but with no success. It is unclear right now what the next steps will be. 9 of North Carolina's congressional delegates voted against the bailout package. All 6 Republican House members and Democrat Heath Shuler gave a no vote. We have been waiting on the other big story, which is where's the gas here in North Carolina. This is a live picture from Sky 3 over the Exxon on the run. This is a station on Monroe Road at Washburn in East Charlotte. You can see they're lined up about 3 cars deep at the pump. That's a beautiful sight because many of you have seen the lines much longer unless they're directing the traffic, but it looks pretty clear. So that is the Exxon on the run on Monroe. Wait till after the show before you go to fill up. But Monday, many of us were hoping that they would all be filled, but that's not been the case. There's been some supply coming into town, but it hasn't gotten out. Jamie Bowl joins us now. We were really itching for that gas, but where is it?
Well, we talked to a lot of people today, including the mayor, Pat McCrory. Basically, he repeated to us what the Department of Energy told him. We would be getting a major shipment Friday, which we did, but apparently not enough to go around. The mayor says demand was just too much because people panicked. Demand much greater than the usual amount.
We knew if the demand cycle continued, we would maybe go through another cycle of spot shortages.
Now, the mayor went on to stress conservation right now. He says the Colonial Pipeline, one of the 2 main pipelines to Charlotte, is now delivering gas at a pre-hurricane status. That being said, it's going to take a few days to see the full effect, and if demand is too great, it could perhaps take even longer. So it goes back to the old thing. If you're not below, say, a quarter tank, put it off if you can for another day, and hopefully the supplies will catch up.
What I don't really follow is that we're up to pre-hurricane demands and needs and supplies, but it's not getting to the stations. Why is that?
Well, that is the big question. We're not sure how much even came the first time around either. They've been kind of keeping that information to themselves. Obviously, that pipeline's got a long way to go. Remember a couple weeks ago, reported, 3 miles an hour is about all that fuel gets. So it does take some time to get here, but it's a big conversation going on. You got the governor telling us it's really a transportation issue. The tankers aren't able to bring out the supply to where it needs to go. We've had others say the pipelines are holding on to the fuel right now because they don't want it to all run out. The mayor says we're just using too much. Somewhere there's the truth. Bottom line is we're having a tough time still filling up in the Charlotte area.
But what he said still holds. Conserve, really try to use mass transit when you can, and don't top off your tank if you don't need it. We are tracking stations, though, in the area that have gas before heading out of the house. Check our web channel, WBTV.com, for our running list and pass on information if you find one. This guy in Florida is summing up his feelings towards the economy. He's flying a flag upside down, a symbol of distress. Some people disagree with this bold move, calling it disrespectful. The man says he just lost his job and now faces foreclosure. He is in distress. Back here in South Charlotte, police are trying to figure out who shot and killed a man early this morning. It happened on Chelton Ridge Lane, right off Ray Road. Another victim was found at the scene and taken to CMC. Police don't think this was random, but they say whoever did it is still out there. If you've got any information on this shooting, call police. In Watauga County, a school bus carrying elementary students flips down this embankment, sending 7 people to the hospital. 6 of those kids who were inside. It happened here on Hardin Road at about 7 o'clock this morning as the bus was rounding a sharp curve here. At the same time, a car was coming the other way. The bus moved over and the ground beneath the bus just gave way. Philip Green was in the car the bus was trying to avoid and watched as that bus went down the ravine.
It went too far over trying to pass us. It rolled over twice and hit a tree.
The bus driver and 6 students inside were treated and released at the hospital. Authorities say everyone was very, very lucky here. No charges have been filed. While the teen driver involved in a deadly car crash in East Gaston County Friday is doing a lot better. 16-year-old Daniel Rowland is in fair condition tonight. Police say Rowland and 2 other teens were all traveling in a pickup truck when it ran off the road. We're told Rowland overcorrected and was T-boned by a Dodge Durango. We are told tonight that no charges in this case will be filed. An elderly woman who reported an intruder in her house in Gaston County Friday had a heart attack and died today. Police say the intruder was one of the robbery suspects being chased all day Friday. We told you about this. After a chase at a wreck down I-85, they took off on foot. One of the suspects was found hiding under a car. The other one was caught inside, just outside rather, that elderly woman's house, and she has now died of a heart attack. North Carolina landmark Grandfather Mountain has been sold. The state now owns it. The Morton family has owned it since the 1950s. They will sell 2,600 acres to the state, the trails, streams, and hiking areas. But the Mortons will maintain the tourist attraction. And yes, you'll still have to pay to get in, but it's worth the money. Still to come on Primetime, some call it sinful. A mother leaves her baby behind at a church. Plus, nursing homes not making the grade. Why picking a nice place for your loved one could be riskier than you think. And chemotherapy can be a lifesaver or a death sentence. How a new stem cell procedure is lessening the risk.
Tonight,
it's Dr. Tara Price. It's our new ME.
Glad to have you aboard. Miami's got a new medical examiner.
Was there an accelerant?
Over his entire body. This guy didn't just catch fire by accident.
In a case so intense,
Miami-Dade police!
An entire city could go up in flames.
Suspect has been spotted.
Ignition source is still out there.
Who is our killer, Eric? New CSI Miami, CBS Tonight.
Chemotherapy can be a lifesaver from cancer, but sometimes the drugs are so powerful they actually put the patient's life at risk. CBS reporter and Dr. Sean Kaniff shows us how doctors now have a way to help the body handle large doses of chemo. It's tonight's cover story.
When cancer patient Laurice Gooden needed a bone marrow transplant, she didn't have to look far for a donor. She was able to do it herself.
Laurice, my dear, how are you feeling?
Laurice was fighting the blood cancer multiple myeloma.
Unless you have a positive attitude, you're not going to make it.
Strong doses of chemotherapy could get rid of the cancer, but it would also damage the blood and bone marrow, keeping her from producing vital blood cells and platelets. This machine was her solution. Before chemotherapy, stem cells from a patient's own blood are removed and stored. After high doses of chemo, the cells are then infused back into the body and bone marrow.
The stored stem cells that we use restore her ability to produce normal blood cells.
The transplant allows doctors to be more aggressive with treatment, and studies have shown that gives patients a better chance at survival.
With some conditions, the cancer can even be cured.
For other conditions, it significantly prolongs survival and survival without disease.
That's the case for Laurice.
It will improve the quality of life, which it has.
And the treatment has given her more time to live her life.
And part of that process is similar to a Charlotte 5-year-old that we've been following. Victoria Martinson was given high levels of chemotherapy after her stem cells were removed last month. She is the first child to have this stem cell transplant done at a Charlotte hospital. She's a remarkable young girl. Alarming numbers out today about nursing homes in the nation. The New York Times is reporting 90% of nursing homes across the country have been cited for violating federal health and safety standards just last year. 17% of them are in the red zone, meaning the violations caused actual harm or immediate jeopardy to patients. There is a way to see how nursing homes in the state or across the nation are rated. We looked up a few in the Carolinas, and some do have ratings in the red. Just go to our web channel, WBTV.com. We've posted a link to this on our website. Tainted milk continuing to cause trouble in China. Now, British chocolate maker Cadbury says it used the milk in some of its candies. That milk has been found to contain the poison melamine. It has sickened thousands and been blamed for the deaths of at least 4 Chinese babies. The candy was not sold in the United States. Diamonds, anyone? Only if you can afford it. This diamond necklace expected to fetch nearly $10 million in Hong Kong next month. $10 million for a necklace. It was put on show by auctioneers today. The necklace features a 102.56 carat yellow diamond diamond found in Africa. Jewelers say it is so rare to find a yellow diamond with that vivid of a color, and imagine that size is pretty rare too. On a day like today, hard to believe anybody could even be thinking about spending that kind of money outside. Look at the skies here in Charlotte. We're watching as it gets the sun sets sooner and sooner. Eric Thomas. Today, though, didn't feel like fall. It actually was a little bit warmer than I'd expected.
Yeah, it was, Maureen, a few degrees above normal, and pretty soon we're going to be right back below normal again. But you're right, the sun should be hitting the horizon just about now as you and I are speaking. Here it is, 75 degrees. That's our number at the 7 o'clock hour. Dew point checking in at 60. So overall, a comfortable combination of numbers this evening. Humidity at 60% as well. Winds are calm, and that pressure, it's holding steady at 29.98 inches. Here's the story. Temperatures around Charlotte 75, though, bouncing around a little bit. We still have an 80 down Highway 321 between Gastonia and close to Rock Hill. And then beyond that, you'll see temperatures are falling off pretty quickly. Just to the north of that, you can see temperatures now down into the low 70s. 63 around Boone and Blowing Rock. Overall, though, not a big contrast. Once you get outside of the mountains, everybody pretty much in the 70s to very close to 80. Beyond that, again, you'll see some chilly air way off to the north, especially along the ridges of the mountains. But otherwise, you'll see that it's pretty consistent outside of that area. Same pattern, 70s to about 80 degrees. So you see a little bit of leftover moisture along an old front around Florida. That's not coming our way. That's a vigorous cold front with a lot of thunderstorms that were associated with it earlier in the day. Then it all more or less went away, but just at the tail end, right here, look, some popcorn variety showers and thunderstorms redeveloping right around St. Louis. Now, this is the front that we're going to have to contend with tomorrow. We're not looking for widespread activity around here, but we don't want to rule out one or two of you getting a shower or a thunderstorm out of that. There you see what we certainly would say is some redevelopment, some cellular nature in those showers and thunderstorms now just south of St. Louis. Chicago had it earlier, but for them it wasn't anything too serious. So here's what it looks like in the Atlantic. For you folks who are keeping score, well, guess what? Tropical storm Laura has formed, but in this case, well, already the United States is way off to the left of your picture, and wow, look where this thing is going, way off into the North Atlantic. And just to remind you, Southampton, England, Titanic set sail, icebergs, forget about it. We're talking about Tropical Storm Laura hanging around the North Atlantic right now, and still, even 3 days from now, with winds of about 60 miles per hour. That's wild. All right, so back home we go. Front, I told you about it. It's coming into the picture on Tuesday, but as it gets here, it's running out of gas. I guess that's something we're all kind of familiar with, and so what's left behind is a wind shift. So I don't look for a lot of rain out of it, but I do expect the cool air to get back in here. So here it is, 83. So for the third straight day, we will have highs in the 80s, and then after that, Maureen, we are going right back down. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s with mostly sunny skies, and I'll tell you, we don't have much rain in this forecast. So, Maureen, if the rain we got Friday still wasn't enough for you, you better get some tomorrow.
Okay, we hope to.
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank everybody for this weekend because we had a wonderful time for Rockin' for a Cure on Saturday night. We mentioned it on Friday. A great crowd, fun and generous crowd. We raised nearly $65,000 for cystic fibrosis research. The Paul Thorne Band rocked the house at the beautiful Grand Central Ballroom on Central Avenue. Special thanks to Team Maya for inviting me to introduce the band. It was really an incredible night. The money will go toward researching the disease that obviously doesn't get enough attention. But there were all these baby boomers out there shaking the groove thing. It was fun.
So we can still do that then?
I think we can. We try hard.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, coming up on Primetime, how one family thinks this alligator ended up in their pond in Missouri. We'll be back after this.
Are you ready for some chicken? Score big with a delicious Bojangles 2-piece dinner today for only $2.99.
Grace is power. Introducing the all-new TL, the most powerful Acura ever built.
To be the master of your great outdoors, there's only one place to turn for professionally proven equipment, expert advice, factory certified service, and top quality accessories. Your Husqvarna servicing dealer, the master of outdoor power equipment. Get a Husqvarna in your hands during Chainsaw Demo Days.
Police in Washington State are looking for a woman who left a newborn baby outside a church, and it was all caught on videotape. Police think the woman walking up is the baby's mother, holding the newborn in her arms around 2:15 in the morning. She leaves the baby wrapped in a towel in the cold for nearly 5 hours before the church actually opens. Police say the woman faces felony child abandonment charges, but the good news is tonight that baby is in fair condition. You would expect to find alligators in Florida, but not as far inland as Missouri. This family did, though, in their own backyard pond. One of the boys discovered the reptile when he almost stepped right on top of it.
Yeah, I went from building a playhouse this weekend to the kids wanted me to build an alligator cage, but that's not going to happen. We're not keeping it, so.
Later, they think the gator was someone's pet, let it go after it just got too big. Well, with rising fuel costs, many are seeing the light and switching to green energy, including the Vatican. Crews are installing solar panels on the roof of the audience hall near St. Peter's Square. Vatican engineers announced the plan to install the panels last year. Pope Benedict XVI has made conservation a priority. Coming up next on Primetime, take a look at all these people in a giant pillow fight, why thousands came out to shed some feathers when we come back.
Pinpoint weather down to your neighborhood on WBTV News 3 this morning, 5 to 7 a.m.
WBTV News is brought to you by BlueCross and BlueShield of North Carolina, your plan for better health. WBTV News 3 is brought to you by Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
She answers, I want an extra long chili cheese cone.
Extra long chili cheese cone. And tots.
Perfect.
All right, ready?
2 supersonic cheeseburgers, please.
Whoa.
What did you do to me there?
I called an audible.
Do me a favor and just please order me an extra long chili cheese coney.
Okay. Cheddar peppers for my friend.
Hang on a second, time.
We'll take a time out.
Just please order me what I want.
You don't call the place. You do not call the place.
$2.99 extra long chili cheese coney and tots. Now at Sonic. Stretch $2.99 with an extra long coney and tots. And stop in for happy hour. Half price fountain drinks and slushes every day from 2 to 4 p.m.
WBTV is currently looking for top talent. We welcome you to visit our current job listings on WBTV.com. Please forward resumes and tapes to this address.
WBTV News, brought to you by Wachovia. Together we can achieve uncommon things.
Road construction affecting your ride home on WBTV News 3 this morning, 5 to 7.
Take a look at all these people in Grand Rapids. They're in a giant pillow fight. That's a good way to get your frustrations out. Thousands converged on Rosa Parks Circle with pillows in hand. There was no political agenda. This wasn't a fundraiser. Just a guy on Facebook who decided to put the word out, and look at the response.
Yeah.
Maybe they just needed to unwind.
So
maybe they heard about what was going on Wall Street.
Well, yeah. Good point. Yeah, it wasn't Congress over there hitting folks at Fannie Mae over the head, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Those are people just having some fun.
Good. Okay.
Thanks for watching Primetime. Have a great night. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.